What's going on, everybody? Josh, starterraingutterbusiness.com. Today we're at a custom commercial box cutter job. So we're going to show you guys how I get these done. Let's get started. This is a 34-foot stretch and end cap on both sides. First thing I like to do is just get an end cap going, get one piece ready. I made this with a hanger lip for hangers. Works a lot better than trying to use straps riveted on there, which a lot of steel building companies use. So I made an end cap. I just marked the bottom and then use a speed square to make two straight lines up the edge. These are hard to trace because they're so flexible. So that way it gives your end a nice square look if you use a speed square to mark them out instead. And got our hangers in there. This little lip on top here, this is a high back with a flange that's going onto the roofing. They already have a rubber roofing up there, and so what we're doing is tacking this on top of their rubber roofing, and they're gonna have the roofers come back in and seal this in. So should work good. See how it goes. One last thing on this gutter is I cut the top lip off about an inch and a half just to help these sleeve together better, because usually you can get the rest of this to fit pretty good, kind of sleeve together, but this top lip stops you. So I got this cut back in a little wedge shape on the front, so they'll sleeve together and kind of tighten up as they go. So see how it goes. All right, so this is a little bit of an unusual one. Usually you do this stuff before the roofing was put down. This is a remodel, so they redid the siding, and then whoever cut off the old commercial gutter just sawed it off with a grinder at the roof lip. So not ideal, and I've never done it this way before, but here to learn. We talked to the job foreman, and he confirmed that there's two 2x4s or 2x6s on like laying down flat underneath of this, stacked on top of each other. So we got some pretty beefy like button head screws, cabinet screws, that are gonna be tying down to this, straight through the back of this into those two boards. I got 3 inches to go through both boards, and should hold everything up pretty well. The reason I did cabinet screws is I wanted a really nice smooth head on the screw to make sure that it doesn't ever rub through this rubber, and just make them finish out nicer. All right, so we just slid it back a little ways, glue it kind of like a normal seam, getting some glue pushed in there. That's good, you don't need to do top. And then I'll slide it back together, and it'll push some of that glue inside of there. Nice. So with these 10-foot sections, what I like to do is get a couple of them kind of tacked up with the hangers and everything, and then either have somebody kind of stand at one end and look, or once you kind of know what you're looking for, you could do it by yourself. But you look down this edge, do like a rivet, start at one side, start like say at the top, get a rivet, put it in, and then you could kind of flex that joint, pivoting it on that one for your first rivet, just to where these line up perfect, and it makes it look like one piece. So it makes a big difference. Like a lot of like this cutter over here, I can see somebody else put up. It goes, you can see the face of the gutter goes tink, 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 just waves the whole way down. And so if you can, while you're riveting that, make sure it's all straight and in one line, it makes everything turn out a lot nicer. This gutter creates a lot of issues. You have seams every 10 feet. I mean, the way they're doing it here is pretty wild, but this is part of the reason I got into getting these box cutter machines. So, seamless, stronger, uses these hangers, just looks nicer. I try to talk everybody I can into using the box cutter that we have to do seamless, but obviously this job is pretty unique. So just so you guys know, not something I do very often anymore, but box cutter machines work really well for this stuff. So one thing I'm looking at on this end, we have 11 feet to go. So these come in 10 footers. So normally you just throw up a 10 foot and then a 1 foot at the end, call it good. One problem with the 1 foot end is it's really hard to get a 1 footer to be nice, look nice and straight with everything else. The next problem is my downspouts right here. So my seam will be right in the center of my downspout, which I don't want to deal with. So what I'm going to do, I have a scrap that I cut some end caps out of. That's about this long. It's like 7 foot. So I'm just going to throw the 7 footer up, and then I'll have a 4 foot piece to throw up after that. And it'll help us keep everything straighter and avoid me putting that downspout right on the seam. So just some foresight, something to look for when you're getting these done. So another thing that makes it a little easier to put these up is just scribe a little line on the back of the gutter to where that way you can easily find kind of where these gutters sit pretty flat so they're all the same height. So if you want to look at this real quick, because if you go up too high, it changes the width of the gutter depending on where that's at. So you want to have them all nice and level in there at the same height, and it keeps the face of the gutter looking a lot straighter. So here we are making our right end cap. I just bent a lip with some hand seamers on the bottom of a scrap of this gutter. And what I'll do is just hook it on the bottom, get it to where I want it, make sure I got enough room on the front and back, and then make marks where the bottom hits. And then I can just use my speed square and do a perfect straight line up like I was talking about earlier, to make this look nice and square, because this kind of dictates what the gutter looks like on the end. So the more square you can make this, better it's going to look. Okay, so now I got my ink. There's my bottom flap. Now I can throw it on. I put it inside where it's supposed to be now, and then I can measure my height for this front lip. Just kind of get an idea. I trace the inside and the outside, and I'll probably stick more with that inside line. So now you just kind of trim it up and bend the flaps. Good to go. I'm kind of matching what the other guys did with the gutter. So I wouldn't normally do this, but they kind of had it ramped up to the back. So I'll do just a little ramp on there. So it'll kind of looks funny to me, but whatever. I find myself learning from people that do this stuff. You know, when you go to a job that somebody else has done, and then you just try to do it their way to match what's already there. A lot of times you find yourself learning new stuff. Like once you get something done, doing it their way, you're like, oh, that's why they did it that way. One thing that makes these easier to install is keeping these corners. You cut a little extra out of these corners when you do your reliefs, and it makes this corner a little rounded. So if it's perfectly sharp in there, for one, it's hard to bend, and it doesn't fit into these corners on the gutter very easy. So I like to overcut it a little bit, so there's just a little, so it just kind of rounds it out a little bit. Like that one's a little too sharp, so I just kind of trimmed it up a little bit. Then you can always kind of tweak the corners a little with your pliers. There it is. I left the plastic on this while I was bending it, just because these pliers are a little rough. So I didn't get this perfectly straight, but this one's hidden against the wall anyway. So form over function, function over form, function over form. Yeah, that's pretty good. So when I'm riveting these on, I always start from the bottom. That pulls it down to where it needs to be, and then kind of rivet your way up. Then one thing I like to do is, I don't really need to do it with this one because it's into the wall, but I like to kind of round these corners out with either a ball peen hammer or a screwdriver. Can hear my dad in the back of my head. That's not a hammer. Grandpa maybe? Probably not my dad. How's the commentary today? Ooh, one thing to mention, check out my new little, I got really sick of swapping my drill bits on my normal drill all the time. So I found this little Milwaukee 12 volt. Fits right next to it, and it's not very heavy. So now I can just use off of rivets. I do this just for, you know, custom rivet work. Pretty nice having both bits on each drill, ready to go. All right, looks good. So easiest way I found to do these downspouts is just with a speed square. This is a 4x4 box downspout. So I got my two sides on here, 4 inches apart. I go a touch less, like a 30-second less, just to give me a little bit of room. And then this particular one is going to be going right down the back, so this will be my back lip. And then 4 is here, so I can just drag that guy. So now I have my downspout marked out. And then a hole saw right in the center. Whew. This is some stiff meta. And then you just cut an X to each corner. Grab your seamers. Oh yeah, good. Scratch the gutter a little bit. Make sure it looks nice and worn. I focus mainly on my sides, make sure they're nice and straight. Front and the back, I kind of leave them flaring in a little bit just to push the water to the center of the downspout. There it is. There you have it. Custom box commercial gutters. Finished. Tomorrow they're coming to seal them in. Roofer's coming and just putting gluing down a rubber strip that laps into the gutter and seals everything together. So one way to do it. Next we're going to be shooting a downspout video on this, and I have a new custom box gutter profile that works really good. So we'll put that video right here in the video so you guys can check it out next. Thanks for watching.